Tank carries the power. He's sneaky. Explosive.
Yeah, he sets traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds, throws so few punches, and he lets you work. He lets you work, and you're backing up, and you're always afraid of that power, and he's just moving in, trying to find that opening where he just gets in there on you.
Nah, I'm not shocked. I mean, his last fight when he fought Lamont, Jake Paul was at the fight. He told y'all he was going to fight somebody like Jake Paul. So I'm not shocked. It don't surprise me. So
Joe Rogan has issued a stark warning to Jake Paul ahead of his upcoming fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. Speaking on his recent podcast, Rogan cautioned that stepping into the ring with a proven knockout artist like Davis is a completely different world compared to the opponents Paul has faced so far. While Rogan acknowledged Jake's dedication to improving his boxing skills, he emphasized that Tank's speed, power, and ring IQ could quickly expose Paul's weaknesses. For Rogan, this isn't just another celebrity fight. It's a dangerous matchup that could end badly if Jake underestimates the challenge in front of him.
Boxing has gone too far. Jake Paul is taking on Gervonta Tank Davis in an exhibition bout this November. The fight will be taking place in Atlanta between the cruiserweight and the 135-pounder. Nearly a 100-pound difference between the two guys. This is absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below.
Rogan has consistently praised Gervonta Tank Davis' knockout power, often describing it as terrifying and comparing him to a smaller version of Mike Tyson. On a podcast with comedian Ali Sadiq, Rogan broke down Davis' seventh-round knockout of Ryan Garcia, noting the incredible power Davis generates despite his compact frame. "It's crazy that there's nothing special about the way he looks physically," Rogan remarked, highlighting the deceptive nature of Davis' strength. He also emphasized that Davis' aggressive fighting style only amplifies his intimidating presence in the ring, making him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport.
Gervonta, man. I think that guy's so unusual. Yeah. His style's so unusual, and it's like patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician. He's great, Mexican style, but he's also a technician. And the fight was very close before Tank stopped.
Yeah.
But he has that power that can end it.
Well, he finds these openings. He sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can fucking crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that. I watch him, someone who's exceptional at it. Where it's just like the technique is so dialed in.
Yeah.
There's guys that like Gervonta Davis is like that. Their technique's so dialed in that when you watch them uncork, it's like, oh my God, the efficiency of it. And so I was just a giant fan of the guy. I just loved as a person who like really enjoyed technique. I like watching someone who's exceptional at it.
Even though Rogan believes Jake Paul isn't ready to face elite pro boxers like Tank Davis, he has given Paul plenty of credit for his success inside the ring. Rogan has described Paul's maneuvering in the celebrity-driven sport as genius, acknowledging that he has positioned himself as a legitimate boxer earning massive paydays while still showcasing genuine boxing ability. He has pointed out that Paul has proven himself to be more than just a YouTuber, demonstrating real skill, ring IQ, and a sharp sense of self-promotion that keeps him relevant in the boxing world. At the same time, Rogan remains realistic, reminding fans that while Paul has achieved impressive success, the spectacle surrounding his fights is very different from the harsh reality of facing truly elite opposition.
But is this Logan Paul? Is he a legitimate boxer?
A legitimate boxer, yes. People mocked me when I was saying that before, but now I think people are coming around. And the way I look at it, I say, if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes, and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fucking fight. He knows how to fight. Like, it's not, nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well. He looks good. And if he was just an up-and-coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, you'd be like, this kid's the future. He's really something special. If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's f***ing for real. There's nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Intrigue surrounding the fight largely comes from the stark physical contrast between the two fighters. Jake Paul, standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing around 199 pounds, competes in the cruiserweight division, while Gervonta Tank Davis, at 5 foot 5 1/2 and typically fighting at 135 pounds, is a reigning WBA lightweight champion. This nearly 60-pound weight difference has sparked serious questions about the fairness and safety of the matchup. Despite those concerns, both sides have agreed to the exhibition, with Paul reportedly set to drop to 195 pounds in an effort to make the contest slightly more competitive.
Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is official. A lightweight takes on a heavyweight, a bit insane, a big size difference, but also a speed difference. I want to talk about this fight, my picks and predictions for how it's going to play out. And basically just, let's run it. The only combat sports fight I could think of the top of my head that was similar in the size disparity is Buckley versus Vidabayev. Now look at these guys. Buckley is 5'6", I believe 5'7". Vidabayev is 6'5". It just looks ridiculous. Jake Paul, it says 6'1", but I think he's more like 6'2". He's a big fucking dude. 76-inch reach. Well, Gervonta is only 5'5", with a 9-inch reach advantage on Jake Paul. 9-inch reach. You're having a laugh, bud. But she's not all about size, boys. As Buckley showed against Vidabayev, speed is a factor, and these little guys can move. Buckley actually won this fight on points. A lot of jabs to the body, overhand right, on repeat. Rinse and repeat, use your speed, get out of range. When you're in range, you're hitting the body, hitting up top. When you're out of range, you're just moving around, you're keeping the big man moving. I do see this going a similar way. Now, I'm not a Jake Paul hater by any means. I actually think he's pretty decent. But just the size of it, I mean, he weighs almost 100 pounds more than Gervonta. I mean, he is going to be a lot slower. And Jake isn't the most explosive and the quickest guy. I mean, like I said, I'm not a Jake Paul hater. I actually think he's pretty good. He's got power, a lot of power. But he's just not that quick. And Gervonta is very fucking quick. Now, there is no way in the world Gervonta Davis finishes Jake Paul. You cannot pay me enough on that pick. But Gervonta Davis on points, I think is basically signed, sealed, delivered. It's going to be jab to the body, move, jab to the body, and move. And jab to the body again and move. That's all it's going to be. So if you're paying for this fight, I mean, I think it's on Netflix, so most of us should be locked and loaded. But you're going to only way to pay for this one, don't even bother. It's going to be boring as fuck. It's going to be Gervonta jabbing the body and Jake Paul missing overhands. That's what this fight's going to be, and it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be 120 to 100 in favor of the little man. 5'5", 63-inch reach, Gervonta Tank Davis.
For Davis, the risks in this matchup are more reputational than physical. A loss to Jake Paul, who holds a 12-1 record but remains relatively inexperienced compared to seasoned professionals, could damage his standing among boxing purists and fans. Conversely, Paul has much to gain, as defeating an undefeated world champion like Davis would skyrocket his exposure and credibility. Still, not everyone is convinced this fight belongs in professional boxing. Critics, including fellow fighter Ryan Garcia, have voiced skepticism about the legitimacy of the matchup, likening it more to a scripted wrestling event than a true contest. Garcia mocked the idea of Davis bulking up to nearly 195 pounds as delusional, warning that boxing is drifting away from genuine competition and into popularity-driven spectacles. Despite the criticism, the fight is expected to attract massive attention, with Netflix set to stream the event live to a global audience. For detractors like Garcia, the new blueprint in boxing seems to be popularity over merit, picking money fights instead of true competition, an approach he warns is steadily eroding the sport's integrity.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinch. You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight, can drop a heavyweight. There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, still a highlight moment,
a visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Andre, the champion, and you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy. He hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned?
All right, so it looks like it's official that Jake Paul is going to be fighting Tank Davis. So pretty crazy considering Jake Paul is 6'1", 220 walking around, and Tank Davis is 5'5", and I think he's 140 walking around. So we're talking about 80-pound weight difference and then 8 inches of height. Everyone's been telling Jake Paul that he needs to fight real fighters in their prime. And Gervonta Tank Davis is in his prime and one of the best fighters out there, but this is just ridiculous. Let me know what you think.
Joe Rogan has also questioned Jake Paul's decision-making outside of this fight, pointing to the delay of a proposed bout with Anthony Joshua until 2026. He expressed skepticism over the postponement, even joking, "I think he put on all the steroids since any delay feels odd when both fighters are reportedly ready to compete now." For Rogan, the move feels puzzling and potentially hints at hidden motives rather than genuine preparation. Despite Paul's size advantage against Davis, many boxing experts still expect Tank to deliver a knockout. Former world champion Sean Porter boldly predicted a KO victory for Davis, saying, "I'm betting on Tank." You'd be surprised. The broader analyst consensus echoes that view, arguing Davis' speed, elite boxing IQ, and devastating power could easily compensate for the physical mismatch. To these experts, Davis' proven skill set outweighs Paul's size and strength. Boxing insiders quickly weighed in on the matchup as well, some criticizing it for undermining the sport's integrity, while others acknowledged its undeniable financial and promotional value as yet another high-profile spectacle.